This is the 5x5. Now before I get into the tutorial, there's a few things that I wanted to mention first. The first thing is if you're new to cubing and you want to learn how to solve bigger cubes, I would probably recommend not to learn bigger cubes first, mainly because it's easier to learn the smaller cubes first, then you gain a lot of really important skills that help you solve bigger cubes, then you're able to learn them easier instead of just diving straight into the deep end and learning 5x5 or even bigger cubes than that. Also, if you don't know how to solve 4x4 or things like that, I would recommend going and learning how to solve those cubes before you go on into 5x5, because there's a lot of things from 4x4 that 5x5 actually uses. So unlike the 4x4, the 5x5 actually has centerpieces. So on every side for the 5x5, there's actually centerpieces, kind of like the 3x3. But the 4x4, if you know how to solve that, you know that you have to build the centerpieces separately. So for the 5x5, that actually makes it a lot easier because you already know what color every side has to be because of these centerpieces. So the first step of solving 5x5 is going to be finding one center. In this example, I'm going to find the white center. Then I'm going to try to make basically like a cross around it, kind of like how you would do in 3x3, except just in the center of the center. So like these pieces that go around the center, kind of like the edges of the center. So they all are never going to be in these areas or in the outer areas. They're always going to be in these inner kind of edges right here. So the way you can do this is you can just easily pair the white side up because there's no areas to obstruct when you're actually pairing them in. Okay, so the next step you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find basically the corner pieces of this inner layer right here. So right here, I noticed that one's already inserted in the correct spot. And then I have this one here, and then these two back here. So that gives me a total of 4. So after I've identified all of them, I'm just gonna put this one here, and then you can do this algorithm to insert it. So if you wanna do this, you just bring these two up to the top like this. So you can do that. And then you have these two here, so you can do this algorithm. So it's up with 2 layers, over, down with 2 layers, over, up, over 2, and then down. So it's basically a soon, but instead of doing 1 layer, you're doing 2 instead. Like that. The next step is going to be pairing the yellow center. So after we've solved the entire white center, we're going to want to go ahead and solve the yellow center. So this one is going to be a little bit more difficult because now there's actually centers that we can obstruct. So when you're pairing up the kind of edge pieces of the center, you're going to want to do this algorithm. So you want to put the edge that you want to pair up to this center in the back on top, and then you're going to do this algorithm. So it's basically just a double layer R, and then you're going to do a U, and then a double layer R prime, and that's just going to insert that. And then you can do that over and over. And it will always insert it to the middle right. So you're going to want to do an F every time that you insert it. That way it doesn't obscure any of the other things you've already done. And after we've done that, we can just use the soon algorithm to just insert the corner pieces of the center here. Okay, so after you've done the yellow and white center, then you're going to go on into these centers that go around that. So we have the green, the orange, the blue, and then the red. So I'm going to look around here and see which one has the most edge pieces already solved. So I see this one has 2, this one has 2, this one has 2, and this one has 3. So I'm going to take the one that has 3 because that has the most, and it's going to require me to do less work than any of the others. Then I can just use the super simple double layer R, U, double layer R prime to insert that edge right there. Then I'm going to use the double layer soon algorithm to insert the corner pieces of the center. If you have this case where you have one that needs to go here and you have it back here, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put it basically exactly like how you would have done the other soon algorithm if this needed to go here. Except for this one, we're just basically going to do double layer turns instead of single layer turns. So you want to put this one here, and it needs to go right under, or it needs to go right over this one. So what you're going to do is you're going to do a double layer R, and then you can move this, and then do a double layer R prime, then U, double layer R, and a U2, and a double layer R. And then that is going to solve for that case. Next, I'm going to look around and see which one has the most edges already solved. And I could either do orange or blue. So I'm going to do orange because I just see that this edge piece is already here, so it's just going to make it easier to pair up. So what I'm going to do is just do that super simple algorithm to pair the edge up, okay, like that. And now I just have to find the corners, and then I can pair that up as well. Okay, so now I have this case where I have two that are here, and then two that are here. So what you need to do for this case is basically the same algorithm that you would need to do for just pairing the edges normally, except you're just going to do an R2 instead of just an R. So I have this one here, it needs to go here. So I have just do an R2, and then a U, and then R2, and then that's going to pair up that one. Then we can do that again, so put this one on the right, put this one on the top, and then do R2, U, R2. And then that is going to give us all of the edges. Now, all we have to do now is solve all the corners, so we can just do the double layer soon algorithm that I showed earlier. So the next step is going to be pairing up some of the parts of the edges. So what I mean by that is we're going to be pairing up these two, and then we're going to save the middle area for later because it's a different algorithm. So to pair up these two, you just have to pair them up like you would in 4x4, and then you do the same pairing algorithm for 4x4, which is this. And that is going to pair those two up like that. And then we'll worry about the middle layer. So once all the outer layers of the edges are solved, the next step is going to be pairing up the inner layers of the edges. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find one pair. So like for instance, I have the white-orange pair right here. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pair it up with the single white-orange edge part that needs to go in the middle. So like I have this here and this here. So you want them to be directly opposite of each other with the same color facing on top. Then what you're going to do is you're going to hold the one that needs to go inside the two towards you, and then the two away from you, both on the top, and you're going to do this algorithm. And that is going to pair those up. So that's the only algorithm you need to know to pair up all of the inner layers. And then there's also only one parity case for 5x5, and that is the edge parity, which I will get to later. Okay, so once you paired up all the middle parts of the edges, the outer edges, you may notice that you have something that looks like this. Now this is the parity case in 5x5 called edge parity. So there's actually an algorithm to solve this, and you might have a few of these as well, like I have two, for instance. So before you go on and solve the rest of the cube, you're going to want to solve these first, so they don't mess you up when you're finishing your solve. So you want to hold this case to where you have the edge that you want to solve correctly in front of you. You're going to hold it on top in front of you, and the algorithm is this. And that is going to solve that. And then all you have to do is do that same algorithm for the other one. So you just put it on the top and then hold it in front of you and do that algorithm again. And then that is going to solve all the edges. Then you can super easily proceed with basically just solving the rest of the cube as if it was a 3x3. So all you have to do is make the cross, and then you can do your F2L pairs, and then you can fully solve the cube. So if you did all those steps correctly, then the 5x5 should be completely solved. And if not, then I recommend going back and rewatching the algorithms to make sure that you really understand what they're doing and how they work. Also, before I end the video, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Speak Shop, the best puzzle retailer where you can get any cube you want. I will leave a link in the description, so make sure to go check it out.